evening, and tonight on Join News Prime, minority in Parliament fires warning, insisting they will not be part of any budget that will impoverish the Ghanaian, with less than 24 hours to the presentation of the 2022 budget and financial policy of the government.
It was a huge strain. From the minority side, we would not, let me make it very clear, we would not be part of measures that will impoverish Ghanaians, measures that will exacerbate the already harsh and difficult conditions.
Also tonight, labour unions warn they will resort to extreme measures should government fail to factor their demands into the 2022 budget. We have details of that. And much later also, Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Fenyomarking apologises for the use of a false photo to depict the sun-winning activities and files urgent question on the commencement of the Blekusu Sea Defence Project Phase 2 in the Volta region.
It is only fair and proper to sincerely withdraw that picture and apologize for adding that as part of our findings.
And in business,
audit firm KPMG is sounding a strong alarm against revenue leakages ahead of the 2022 budget.
We are not able to introduce stricter fiscal discipline and therefore manage these exchange rates and other resulting indices in the system. Then we are going to find ourselves in a situation where planning becomes difficult, investor decisions are impacted.
That's coming up pretty much later. And a chartered forensic accountant at the Komfo Teaching Hospital petitions the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate the CEO of the hospital for alleged misapplication of COVID-19 funds. We have these and many more coming up in the next 2 hours. Join News Prime is coming to you live from our Fanofa studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV, we're on channel 144, and this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. We're also live on all our social media platforms. It's time to get interactive with us. I am Emefa Apau. Details shortly. Many thanks for your company once again. Tonight, the minority says it will not be part of any budget that will impoverish Ghanaians. The NDC MPs wants government to cut down on expenditure less than 24 hours before the presentation of the 2022 budget and economic policy of government. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is scheduled to appear before the House tomorrow for that presentation. And of course, we're bringing you extensive coverage on that. But even before that happens, there's some disagreement over the justification of whether there's the need for the induction or introduction of new taxes. Whilst the minority is cautioning against these new taxes, the majority believe any measure adopted by the government in ensuring the recovery of the economy from the ravages of the COVID-19 pandemic is justifiable. Some of the MPs have been sharing their expectations ahead of tomorrow's budget.
Are tight. Ghanaians are complaining. The cost of living is very, very high, given the fact that the rate of inflation is 10.6%, and we are witnessing an average increment in salaries at about 4%, and also the high cost of living, both with food inflation and non-food inflation, especially petroleum products, which has a cascading effect on the general cost of living. I expect that the minister would come up with some mitigating measures, especially cost-cutting measures in some sectors that he can accommodate. When things are tough, when the economy is tough, what you do is to cushion people. I've heard the issue of COVID. It's true that COVID might have an impact, but Ghana is not an island. We have examples in Senegal, in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Ethiopia. They are our contemporaries, even Cote d'Ivoire. They are not coming out with such astronomical tax measures. Because tax increments can also be a disincentive towards productivity.
But we need to maximize revenue.
Yes, you need to maximize revenue.
Because of COVID, businesses are struggling.
Already revenue is being maximized. The GRA has indicated that they are meeting their targets. Petroleum products alone, we are making a windfall of about 600 million. Cocoa production has gone beyond 1 billion. And so when it comes to the revenue measures, I am convinced that we are meeting the revenue targets. We're with GRA at Imprayaso.
Okay.
Well, I'm affected by the fuel prices. As a member of parliament, I'm not giving fuel. Every week I bought about 900 cedis fuel to my constituency over the weekend. But of course, you should know that pricing of fuel is not the reserve of government. Government does not price fuel. And this is something that governments have always drummed. I mean, that they do not engage in the pricing of fuel. Of course, there are certain taxes on fuel that helps the nation. Today, we want to raise the revenue to support the people of KATH in putting up a sea defense mechanism there. We want to raise revenue to promote entrepreneurship in our country. We want to raise revenue to construct road. We cannot raise the revenue when we don't have areas where we rake in the money. I mean,
so it is justifiable to introduce taxes. Is that what it is?
So I'm not saying it's justifiable to introduce taxes, but for me, I would brace myself up if there's an introduction of a tax, which will come to ensure that the development that everybody sees, the development in education, the development in healthcare, the development in promoting tourism, the effect, especially in our social lives, I would gladly. I would accept it.
I'm just giving you just examples of areas that government can take a second look at and find a way of dealing with them properly.
So any form of tax increases, adjustment upward, will not be justified.
I believe that if the NPP itself goes to the surveyor and the surveyor says that the only way they can survive is to increase taxes and they go ahead to increase it, it means that they simply do not know what they are doing. I expect a continuation of the programs that are being rolled out in the 2021 budget. Because clearly, post-pandemic, the finance minister indicated a 3-4 year plan under the Ghana KATH program that is intended to revive the economy and to stimulate the economy and to put us on the path of growth, with fiscal consolidation being a critical part of the agenda. As my expectation is that it will give us an update of where it is that we are, our revenue measures that have been put in place to, as it were, formalize the economy and bring a lot more people into the tax net, and also what measures that they're rolling out to ensure that we come back within the fiscal deficit space of 5%. And that will be my expectation. I'll be satisfied with what it is that the finance minister puts out tomorrow, because I'm extremely confident in his abilities.
And I can bet my last penny that majority of the people of this country expect nothing positive from this budget. What they expect is a rehash of what we have experienced in the previous budgets presented. One thing I can bet my last penny is that they won't talk about corruption. And I say this because of the evidences available. Every single paragraph of the 2017 budget had something to talk about corruption. Juxtapose that with the 2018 budget, 2019. As the years gone by, the budget on corruption started diminishing. The last financial statement barely talked about corruption. The people of this country are going to be told about free SHS. The people of this country are going to be told how they have managed to stabilize the economy. The people of this country are going to be told that gargantuan lie of the jobs they have created without a scintilla of evidence of those jobs available. The Minister for Agric, who had just descended from Jupiter. So there isn't any hope.
Some MPs there sharing their expectations ahead of the budget presentation tomorrow. Well, the Speaker of Parliament has also been sharing his thoughts, and he is warned that the legislature will under no circumstance accept a cut and erratic release of its allocation. According to him, the situation where Parliament literally begs the executive for financial releases will not happen this time, warning any attempt to deny Parliament the required allocation will influence how the House cooperate with consideration of the estimates for the various sectors of the economy.
So you will see that parliamentary oversight therefore seeks to ensure transparency and openness of executive activities, to hold the executive branch accountable, to provide them the financial accountability. And that is an area we are very weak after we pass the laws. In fact, the budget, the evolving best practice usually is now between 2 months, 3 months for Parliament to be able to scrutinize the budget properly and make sure that it is aligned with the national priorities. I look at the geopolitics, how much of the capital budget is going to this part of this region and that kind of thing, how much is going to women, children, the aged, how much, all those things, is the duty of Parliament to go into these things before approval. Where is the manpower? Where is the time? The budget is to be presented with some of us intervention because they wanted to present it today. And I said, no, it was too late in the day. The indication we had was 17th, and so we planned this forum. There was no way I could postpone this forum. And so I insisted. But that is going to breach one of our laws. And I said, I take responsibility. We need to do this forum. We need to also do the budget on the 17th. But we have to pass the budget before we go on the Christmas recess. So we definitely have about just 1 month. How do you go through all that? And so you make some assumptions, and the lawyers will tell you, omnia praemuntur esse vita acta. You just assume that what is officially mandated to be done is done properly.
Speaker Alban Bagbing there. Well, other labor unions have already started wading into it from the guidelines that we've seen so far for the budget 2020. So one will stay on matters relating to that because the general living conditions in the country is also a matter of concern. We've heard from the Catholic bishops. The latest to wade into it is the Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, and they are demanding that government takes practical and immediate steps to ease the economic hardships facing Ghanaians. And my colleague Kweku Asante will be with me in the studio on budget-related issues, because he has a lot. But we'll start with the Pentecostal Council statement that they've issued. Kweku, walk us through it.
Right, MFA. So just like you said, this statement is following in the footsteps of the Catholic Bishops' Conference statement talking about hardships in the country. So let's go through this statement from the Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. It says that this statement is calling on government to take practical and immediate steps to ease the economic hardships currently facing many Ghanaians, especially the teeming unemployed youth. The council is particularly worried about the rippling effects of the recent rampant fuel prices increases, which has affected the price of food items in the market and threatening the very survival of many families and small businesses. They continue that the recent mass recruitment exercises into the various security agencies is a pointer and an early warning signal that all is not well with the situation of our energetic youth, whose economic woes are being worsened by the ongoing economic hardships. And so this is the statement from this group. They are saying that the hardship in the country does not seem to be stopping, and they want government to take some steps in this budget to resolve these differences.
Okay, well, so you stay with me. Like I said, Kweku would go through the budget guidelines that we've received so far, what we've cited in terms of the budgetary statement. Of course, we know that the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, will tomorrow request Parliament to approve a budget estimate of what, up to 120 billion cedis for government spending in the 2022 fiscal year. And that's according to our sources. So, Kweku,
right.
I see that you have it broken down nicely. Let's go through them.
So we've been taking a hard look at the budget guidelines that the ministry is going to use to present tomorrow's budget. So the budget is going to be on 4 main themes. The first is digitalization. We know this government has been big on that. 2 weeks ago, the Vice President held a lecture on that. Industrialization, to create jobs. Competitive import substitution, to be able to make sure that you are consuming what you're producing here. And then export expansion and the creation of decent jobs, particularly for the youth. So these 4 themes are interlinked, and that is what the minister will be presenting to Parliament.
Okay.
And so when you continue, you look at the projected revenues in terms of the expenditure also. So government is expecting to raise 128.3 billion.
Okay.
And this is why some say some taxes may be increased, because if you look from last year, the expected revenue, there's a jump, and we'll get it into in this slide. But the projected expenditure is 128.3 billion. The revenue we are going to raise is 89.1 billion. That means there's a shortfall of 39.2 billion.
Wow.
That must be fought some way, either through loans or through some increment in some taxes. And so we will see what the finance minister will have. But 39.2 billion in deficit, that's very huge. So if you continue, you will realize that the expenditure for 2021 and 2022, 113.8 billion is what we wanted to raise this year.
Okay.
And then for the 2022 financial year, we are trying to raise 128.3 billion. That is about a major increase in terms of the revenue we want to raise for this year.
Okay.
Right.
And then now,
and in terms of revenue, 72.5 billion we projected to spend this year. And then for the next year, we are expecting to spend 89.1 billion Ghana.
Generate that kind of revenue,
right.
Which is 89.1.
Right.
Okay.
And the conversations have always been about if the country is able to raise this much revenue to be able to look in terms of the expenditure. And then you look at interest payments. And there's been a lot of conversation about Ghana and in terms of our borrowing also. So we are going to use 37.1 billion of all the monies we will raise.
Just for interest?
To pay interest.
Okay.
Not even the main loans that we have contracted. And we are going to use 35.9 billion Ghana cedis to also pay compensation of employees who are on government payrolls. We know the finance minister has been saying that the payroll is full, and so they cannot put more people on it. We are using 35.9 billion of the amount, that is 28.9 of total expenditure to pay compensation of employees, whilst we are using 27.9 billion of total expenditure to pay interest. That's very huge. But if you go to this next slide, you see that the projected amount to be spent on interest payments and compensation alone will represent about 91% of what government is seeking to raise as revenue.
Okay.
So all the revenue you're going to raise, we're going to use 91%. 91% to pay for interest as well as compensation. 91%, that leaves us a space of about 9%. You have capital expenditure and you have other things that you want to do. And so these are very huge numbers. And tomorrow the finance minister is going to present all these. We are going to see how the lowdown is going to be, and much conversation will follow from the MFI.
Thank you very much, Kwekwa Asante. And of course, we are bringing you extensive coverage of everything that you need to know when it comes to the budget 2022. And we're live from Parliament all the way to the presentation. And then we'll follow with all the analysis, everything that you need to know when it comes to the 2022 budget. And as Kweku puts it, this is where we are. But labor unions are warning they will resort to extreme measures should government fail to factor their demands into tomorrow's budget. Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana say it will be shocked if government fails to include its demands of the yet-to-be-paid red budget for 2022. The national chairman of the Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana, Zakaria Mohammed, joins us via Zoom with more on this. We also have the national chairman, Teacher and Educational Workers Union, Tewu Ambrose Kwajoja, also joining us via Zoom. So welcome, gentlemen, to tonight's edition of Joy Prime. So I'm sure that we'll start with Tewu, or do we have both Tewu and UTAG with us? Good evening. Hello, Mohammed Zakaria.
Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening.
Very well. Good to have you. But I'll start with you, Mohammed Zakaria. So you have expectations ahead of tomorrow's presentation by the finance minister. What exactly would you say they will be?
Thank you so much for having me. We will expect that, we have had a series of negotiations with government throughout the years, and we were just about finalizing. We are left with 3 outstanding items. The issue of book and research allowance for our research assistants. Then we were also talking about trickling down sanitation and security allowances. Now, what the Fair Wages and Salary Commission did. Sorry?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so what the Fair Wages and Salary Commission did was that we had an agreement. We had approved a number of agreements, and we expected that government of Ghana, through Fair Wages, submit it to the Ministry of Finance for it to be factored into the budget. Because we don't expect that the agreements that have been made is going to be carried forward to the 2022. We expect that government should be able to factor in, because the cost implication of what it will take government to satisfy us has been done. And we expect that government will factor it in. We also expect the tax regime, the tax administration in Ghana, at least to lower. because it is having a negative effect on the salaries of public sector workers in this country. And we don't expect tax increases. We don't expect that.
And you're hopeful?
Because during the period of 2021, yeah, we are very hopeful. We are very optimistic that that will happen. If that doesn't happen, then I don't know what is going to happen going into 2022. You remember our strike started.
Okay, it appears that I just lost Zachariah there via Zoom, but they are very hopeful that the government will incorporate their expectations. They've talked about the book and research allowance, some tax regimes also that they are hoping that it will be incorporated into that budget. For them, they will be super shocked if that does not happen. But in the Ashanti region, there are some expectations as well, because traders there are particularly dissatisfied with the rising cost of general goods and services. So as the finance minister presents the budget tomorrow, the traders are looking forward to easing the cost of doing business. Mona Lisa Frimpong has more in this report.
One budget statement and economic policy promised to raise 72 billion Ghana cedis revenue to the government and increase GDP by 5%. Now, whether this can be achieved or not, we wait to see when the budget is read. Since the beginning of the year, the prices of flour, sugar and margarine have increased significantly. Courageous woman, a flour dealer at Asafo, sits leisurely at her shop. The introduction of additional taxes and high freight charges are her biggest fears.
We're importing Nioma. Ukoyi, flakes, ubetuya flakes, ubetuya some charges bebre, and sana ubedri hanmoa.
Freight charges are high. When our goods are imported, we are made to pay other different charges. How do we make profits?
But would bakrom hano charges a gusuono yebeje wono eno na wosade gu nioma no so na wache ansa na watumi anya bi no anya profit.
Osei Kwating is worried the price hikes of flour have affected the purchasing power of bakers.
Those who are in the flour business, for instance, we're having a lot of challenges. This morning, today is 15th, we came and then we met an increment on certain goods. Sugar is going up by about 10 cedis, which is not normal. Other things are going up and we actually don't understand. So we're expecting that we reduce certain things for the bakers.
Ahead of the 2022 budget reading, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has cautioned the government against the introduction of new taxes. Anthony Opon is chairman of GUTA Ashanti.
Ahead of the budget release, Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is expecting no new taxes and, if possible, reduction of some of the taxes, especially on fuel, because the cost of transportation, the way it's escalating, is getting out of hand. And as soon as the transportation fares goes up, it means it's affecting almost every sector of the economy, and it makes things difficult for us as traders.
35-year-old driver James Akon laments the persistent increase in fuel prices has affected his livelihood.
Fuel prices are increased every day. The liters we usually buy are unable to carry us through the day. We are making so much losses, and we want the prices stabilized.
To create more jobs, Executive Director for the Center of Economics and Business Research, Gordon Newlove Asamoah, says policies should be put in place to support businesses.
In this budget, I expect to see what the Finance Ministry is putting in place or the government is putting in place to help local businesses, the small and medium-scale enterprises. They form the chunk of the employers, and therefore, if government wants us to create more jobs, then it has to pay attention to the local businesses. Most of the tax reliefs are given to foreign companies who come to Ghana to do businesses, neglecting the local ones, especially the medium-scale enterprises.
As a citizen, what I would like to hear when the budget is read is job creation, because that's the most important function of every government, as that is going to provide the source of livelihood for many citizens. From Kumasi for Joy News, Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
Here in Accra, my colleague Enimwa Inimado has also been sampling the views of some spare part dealers at Abosokai and came through with his responses.
So we're at Abosokai this morning, and we're just coming to have a conversation about the concerns of the spare parts dealers when it comes to the budget tomorrow. So yesterday, a press statement was released by the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association about and GUTA about the issues that they are concerned with when it comes to the benchmark value that has been in the news for the last few days. So joining me is Mr. Eric Otri-Entry. He is the PRO for the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association. And I just want him to go through the press release for us and, of course, talk about what the expectations are in terms of government's response. So good morning, sir. Thank you so much.
Good morning, my dear, and thanks for having me.
Okay, so do you want to just go through the press statement with us from yesterday?
I think briefly, the press release that came out yesterday mainly has to do with the government's intention to scrap the benchmark value. And then, as we all know, the benchmark value came in existence in 2019, you know, after the agitation by the business community. It just didn't come up. We fought for it, and then the benchmark value came just to help businesses from collapsing. Yeah.
Okay, so are you worried about what the implications will be if this benchmark value is scrapped?
Yeah, certainly. I am worried, and I also believe that all Ghanaians should be worried, in the sense that the effects of this scrap will be terrible for all Ghanaians, I must admit, because as we all know, freights currently are very high. Freights are very high. The dollar, as we all know, is also going up. COVID has also hit us drastically, and we are now somehow recovering. So, not to even forget about, the high interest rates that probably the government is doing quite well and bringing it down. But even if at the state in which it is now, if we compare our interest rates on loans, it's still higher than what our neighboring countries are being offered to their citizens.
And you can also join the conversation with the hashtag Budget22. And Joy News is your station for this, as well as all our platforms when it comes to the budget coverage for tomorrow. You want to stick with us? We'll take a quick break. We're right back.
Yeah, welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. Accounting and auditing firm KPMG has questioned the efficiency of the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Revenue Assurance and Compliance Enforcement Unit established by the Finance Ministry in raising adequate revenue to close the fiscal gap. It says though the nation has clear intentions and the right ideas to mobilize enough funds to service debt and reduce the country's borrowings, much has to be done in this particular resolve, especially ahead of the 2022 budget presentation. Here's more.
That have culminated in the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank classifying the country as a high debt distressed country. As part of KPMG's pre-budget survey ahead of the budget presentation on Wednesday, 17th November, business leaders sampled want government to reduce borrowing for current expenditure and channel borrowing towards employment creation. Head of Advisory and Markets at KPMG, Andy Akutu, said government must move quickly and address the challenges within the fiscal economy.
I think things are beginning to head north again. And this presents a big challenge. And in fact, from the KPMG pre-budget survey, some of the respondents, in terms of their stay-awake issues, identified these matters as a source of concern, because if we are not able to introduce stricter fiscal discipline and therefore manage these exchange rates and other resulting indices in the system, then we are going to find ourselves in a situation where planning becomes difficult. Investor decisions are impacted by the risk posed by these uncertainties and risk. And it therefore becomes important that in the upcoming budget, we hear clearly some plans to bring some stability back into the system.
Now, one sector of the economy decimated by the impact of the coronavirus pandemic has been the hospitality sector. Even though the sector was enlisted on the $100 million Ghana KATH program, players in the industry have still been calling for more strategic injections from the government to keep them afloat. Dr. Akanyamike Jr. is president of the Hotels Association of Ghana, and he spoke earlier on the marketplace.
To appreciate that the government has no disposable funds to inject stimulus package into which we received very little. And even as we speak now, the 55 million Ghana cedis, and that's for the whole industry, not only for hotels, for the whole industry. Even the disbursement of that fund is still work in progress. So we don't want to go to that angle again. About that to help us to thrive in our business. And that's where the fuel prices comes in. That's where utility tariffs. And by that, let me quickly say that we pray that there will be policies in this budget which will not force the PURC to start thinking about adjusting we don't want any new taxes. We are burdened already with taxes, and if possible, if one or two can be reduced, that would be good. Rentals. Remember in one of the budget updates, I think for 2020 or so, there was this unemployment insurance scheme.
Exactly.
I would love to hear the progress on that, because some of our industry players, workers, were unemployed during the COVID. Plans for such unemployed people come on board, because we honestly, we haven't heard much.
Now, the aviation sector forms a critical part of Ghana's economic viability. Sean Mendes is an aviation expert and the immediate powers operations manager for the domestic carrier Africa World Airlines. He expects a raise in domestic air taxes. He says doubling the existing domestic air tax from 5 to 10 cedis will be a small amount to the consumer, but will give a larger input for domestic aviation infrastructure maintenance and growth.
I think it's important for the aviation sector to actually look at this budget as one that is very important for the reconstruction of basically an industry that has been decimated over the last couple of years due to the pandemic and everything else. I think one area that is going to be very interesting to look at is going to be domestic airline taxes. Right now, the domestic airline taxes in Ghana are very, very low. They are at 5 Ghana cedis per passenger. And unfortunately, this has not grown with inflation. And as a result, you find that the Ghana Airports Company is unable to actually use the domestic revenues that it gains from passengers flying domestically to spend on its operating budget for domestic flights and for maintaining these domestic airports. And furthermore, they have to then cross-subsidize these domestic operations with the revenue that they gain from the international flights.
That'll be all for business, but if you'd want to get yourself updated on all business stories ahead of the budget tomorrow, please log on to myjoyonline.com to get yourself updated on business trends. That'll be all. I'm Charles Ayete.
And it's my pleasure tonight to serve you Showbiz. And tonight we are focusing on the tourism, arts and creative arts sector. And the Deputy Minister in charge of that sector, Honorable Mark Okweku-Mante, says Ghana has signed an MOU with a foundation in Spain to train about 120,000 people in the arts and tourism space. He spoke on Showbiz A to Z.
Okay, there's a foundation called INCIDI Foundation in Spain. That we've engaged, we signed an MOU with. They are going to train over 120,000 people in the tourism, art and culture space to be able to boost our tourism. We need to up our game in customer service.
Yeah.
We chose this foundation because they are from Spain, one. And so we are tempted to believe that we are going to learn from the best. Spain is about first or second in world tourism. Their population is 40 million, but every year 80 million people average enter Spain as tourists. Double their population.
Nice.
And so it should tell you they know the trade. And that's why we signed this with them, so they come and train our people. And so creatives, I'm mentioning creatives because they are often not to warm up towards some of these things.
So that's not all. We focus on music also, and musician Kofi Mole says he does not have any issue with his colleague rapper Amrado. According to the rapper, his recent diss to Amrado was not personal, and he's been speaking on it on Daybreak Hits with KMJ.
How's the relationship between the two of you?
Chalabi, you know, me and Amrado will be cool. Like Charlie, we did on songs before. Yeah, my G. Yeah, we do a couple of things. But Charlie, it be music, it be rap music. You get me? So I don't think it's a big deal if you relate to something, like if you feel like clapping back, like do it. Like, yeah, it's not anything personal. I was just trying to take my accolades at that point.
Yeah. Has he taken any accolades from you? Any credit from you?
Okay.
That you feel like there
so
was
the
time
whole
for me to
story.
take it back, because he's done that before. He's done that with other people before, so there's no new conversation. But I mean, we're talking on the rap level, as G's would always, be G's.
Yeah, G's will always be G's. So one time I was at home and my little bro Kratchi just showed me some freestyle from him, and he was like, yo, so. So I did hear some things. I'm like, yo, my guy, you're not supposed to do. So if you shoot, they say, if you make a no, you get.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. And this evening also, Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Fenyomaking has apologized for the second time for the use of a false photo to depict the sand-winning activities in the Volta regional KATH area. He has also filed an urgent question requesting the Works and Housing Minister Francis Asenso-Boakye to brief the House on the commencement of the Blekusu Sea Defence Project Phase 2 in the Volta region. The Futu MP says his question to the sector minister will review a comprehensive plan towards the construction of the project and also ensure the Finance Ministry releases funds for that project.
K2 South and Aloga, where we're having tidal waves affecting livelihood, came up. I addressed the press, and my position was that we need a permanent solution. And we need to look at the problem together as stakeholders. Well, today I have escalated the matter a step further by filing an urgent question addressed to the Minister for Works and Housing. And this is the text of the question. To ask the Minister of Works and Housing when the construction of the Blekusu Sea Defence Project Phase 2 in the Volta region would commence, having regard to the recent rampaging effects of the tidal waves. I believe that as a House, once this is brought to the mainstream and the Minister comes to answer questions, we would then be able to hold the Minister's feet to the fire regarding the answers he would give, and then further push the Finance Ministry to make available funds to finance the project. So I am for real practical solution and not the partisan rhetorics. So I just feel that I should bring this to the attention of the media. Mr. Speaker has admitted this, and I believe that when we are through with the budget next week, since an urgent question, we'll be able to hear the minister on that. And I would also like to say that last Friday, we presented to you as a parliamentary press corps our findings regarding research work done by some academics in the area. And one of the pictures that was part of the findings apparently was taken from somewhere and placed on that article. Upon further due diligence, the very website, Cover Ghana, that published the article and accompanied the picture with it and dated it, has since pulled it down. It is only fair and proper to sincerely withdraw that picture and apologize for adding that as part of our findings. I mean, we all make mistakes sometimes. I couldn't have reasonably taken that step to mislead. If it were so, I wouldn't hand over the entire recent findings to the media.
And remember, he first apologized on PM Express last night with Evans Mensah. So that's the second apology today in Parliament. Now, we'll stay a while longer in Parliament, this time on another MP and lawyers for Medina MP Francis Xavier Susi says he's not running away from court proceedings. This follows another letter written on behalf of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, once again indicating that the MP is on parliamentary business abroad. This was disclosed by Magistrate Oheneba Kufo. So Mr. Kufo, however, described a portion of the letter from the Speaker as rather confusing. This part of the letter that states that the Parliament has resumed, while another part indicates that the MP is out of the country. So the legislator is accused of unlawfully blocking public road and causing destruction to public property. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
Police prosecutor ASP Sylvester Asari informed the court that they were yet to hear from the MP or the Speaker of Parliament regarding Tuesday's proceedings. The magistrate did indicate that he had received a letter from the clerk on behalf of the Speaker communicating two issues. First, that Parliament was in session and that the MP was also out of the country on parliamentary duties. The magistrate said that this was a bit confusing as he doesn't understand whether he was attending to those parliamentary duties outside the country by way of Parliament's proceedings. But lawyer for the MP, Mr. Kojoga Daudu, explained that it simply means that the MP was attending to parliamentary business outside the country. And so informed the court that on 29th, which is the next agenda date, the MP should be present. Mr. Daudu has been explaining to pressmen what he believes is his understanding of that particular letter from the Speaker.
My understanding is that Parliament has started proceedings. And whilst proceeding is going on, he is representing Parliament at a conference in the United States of America. So for me, I see it that it's just a continuation to say that Parliament is in session, and whilst it's in session, he has gone on parliamentary duties by attending a conference. Why not? He will come back to Ghana. I've always insisted that Susu is not a coward. He doesn't even see that the parliamentary immunity is something that will not make him defend his right. If he has rights, he will defend. And I'm sure that's why he's instructed me as a lawyer to come into the matter so that we will defend his right. Because we don't see this as any matter that he will run away from. But Parliament has been consistent saying that we have started the session and he's on parliamentary duties. That is what I gather from that letter. There's no inconsistency in that matter.
So hearing of the case continues on November 29. Reporting for Journeys from the Kaneshie District Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
We stay a while longer in the courts, this time in the Ashanti region, because a chartered forensic accountant, Awuni Achiribod, other for Noche Teaching Hospital, has petitioned the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate the CEO of the hospital for alleged misapplication of COVID-19 funds. So the chartered forensic accountant says he has evidence to prove that two new Toyota Camry vehicles recently purchased for the CEO, Dr. Oheneba Owusu-Danso, and the medical director, Professor Bafo Kofi-Opoku, at a total cost of $116,000 were allegedly procured with COVID donations by Mr. Osei Kwame Despite and Kwejo Asamoah, a footballer. He's also asking Shraj to probe the medical director, Professor Bafo Kofi-Opoku, for abuse of public office for allowing his wife to drive and crash one of these new vehicles. But KATH management says the allegations are false, adding COVID donations have been duly accounted for. Love FM's Erastus Asari-Donko has more in this report.
I am offering my head on the chopping block they can chomp my head for this, and I will see to it that the writing is done.
Mr. Achreba, in an interview with Love News, says management took this decision at a time when the hospital's escalators have broken down and some staff bonuses have not been paid. Escalators in all Komfo-Anokye's high-rise wards have broken down for weeks, with the exception of the B block. All patients who need attention will have to be lifted through these stairs and wheeled physically across wards to their expected destination. Logistics, consumables, materials, and bodies to the morgue go through the same route in a hospital which is in dire need of repairs. It is against this background that Awuni Achreba is questioning the procurement of 2 luxurious vehicles for Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital's Chief Executive Officer and Medical Director.
We were told in the performance review by the Chief Executive that all directorates of the hospital have incurred losses. Cumulative losses of these directorates, according to him, was in the region of 6.2 million cedis. If we were in such a difficulty, where else did they get the money to buy those vehicles, if not the COVID funds?
Mr. Achreba says he is willing to support a Shraj investigation with evidence to prove these vehicles were bought with COVID-19 donations to the hospital.
Shraj is vested with such an authority under Section 7 of the Act that establishes it. And I want Shraj to investigate that purchase.
Shraj has so been petitioned to investigate the medical director of Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, Professor Bafo Kofi Opoku, for abuse of office.
The medical director gave our official vehicle, one of the luxurious vehicles, to his wife, and the wife got an accident with it. I feel that constitutes an abuse of public office. It also constitutes a betrayal of the trust of the public. I feel that in order to boost public confidence, so that...
Well, so that's the allegation, and the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital management have since denied all the allegations, but we'll see how it pans out, whether Shraj will actually take up this investigations. But let's stay a while longer in the Ashanti region, because new facts are emerging directly linking a KNUST lecturer to the disappearance of his wife. That's according to the state attorney prosecuting the case. So on Tuesday, November 16, a Kumasi High Court denied a bail application for Dr. Wilberforce Agri, who has been accused of kidnapping his wife, Rodeline Amwadako, an employee of the Lands Commission in Kumasi. So that bail application was also denied by the Asokwa District Court. Ohiming Teria of our security desk has more.
According to Defense Counsel, led by lawyer Frederick Kankam, their client was ready to deposit his passport at the court and submit himself to every order as the court may deem fit by his bail condition. But the state attorney prayed the court to deny the accused bail because new facts directly linking him to the disappearance of her wife have emerged. According to her, police investigators have been interrogating 3 witnesses, and granting bail to the accused may interfere with investigations. The High Court, presided by Her Ladyship Priscilla Dikru, denied the accused bail. She acknowledged every charge can be bailed, and the continuous detention of the accused is against his fundamental human rights. The court, however, deems the timing of the new facts, as explained by the state attorney, may interfere with the facts of the case. Meanwhile, friends of Rodeline Amwadako and her work colleagues who were in court say they are satisfied with the court decision to deny the accused bail. They include members of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors and the Lands Commission. Whilst promising their support for the family in search of Rhoda, they are also appealing for justice for their colleague. Regional Lands Officer Stephen Odro-Kwatin tells Joy News the office has been cooperating with police and the National Investigations Bureau. According to him, some officials at the commission have already given statements to the investigative bodies.
We've given the police and the NIB the needed support from the word go. Initially, the police came to our office. We wrote a statement, and then I called on my other colleagues to also do same, and we didn't submit it to the police. And then NIB also, officials from Accra came, and then we did same when they interrogated us. And I think based on the evidence or the statement that we submitted have led to what we are seeing today. And that is why the husband was picked. We are happy the bail was not granted today because, as I understood the lawyers, there's new evidence and that has been analyzed, and then we'll see the way forward.
Rodalyn Amuadakon was the regional financial secretary of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors before her disappearance. Representative of the institution, Amasewa Akwa Abebio, said they were in court to offer support to their disappeared colleague.
To tell Rhoda wherever she is that she has a professional body behind her, she has a corporate institution like Lands Commission behind her, and so we will forge ahead and ensure that Rhoda is found, dead or alive. We cannot just sit back and watch such a hard-working, intelligent lady just disappear. All we are seeking is justice for Rhoda.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oiminteria reporting.
Well, government says the conviction of 2 Chinese nationals and their Ghanaian accomplices for illegal gold trading is testament to its commitment to end the menace. So the 2 Chinese nationals, Sheng Hong and Jin Zili, together with Stephen Arthur and Prince Dennis Adu, will pay a total of 5.5 million cedis in fines, or in default serve between 10 and 15 years. Speaking at a news conference, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mirikuduka, said the severity of the punishment shows the extent government will go to deal with those who flout the nation's minerals regulations.
The recent press release by the Office of the Attorney General on the subject matter of conviction of Chinese and Ghanaian illegal gold dealers is testimony to government's commitment. The press release confirmed the conviction of 4 persons by the Takwa Circuit Court on 5th November 2021 for unlawfully dealing in gold and money laundering. The persons involved were Shen Huang, alias Labania, a Chinese; Shen Zili, alias Andy, a Chinese; Stephen Arthur, a Ghanaian; and Prince Dennis Adu, also a Ghanaian. The 2 Chinese nationals were found liable to pay a fine of 120,000 penalty units, which is amounting to 1,440,000 Ghana cedis each, or in default serve 15 years each in prison. The 2 Ghanaians were also fined 100,000 and 120,000 penalty units, also amounting to 1,200,000 and 1,440,000 Ghana cedis respectively, or in default serve prison terms of 10 years and 15 years respectively. As you are aware, the court also issued some additional orders to be complied with. Ladies and gentlemen, the conviction by the courts and the severity of the penalties imposed are clear evidence of government's resolve to fight the illegalities in the mining sector.
So the Deputy Minister is warning that severe punishment awaits anyone who flouts the minerals regulations after a much harsher Act 995 was passed by Parliament.
Government in 2019 decided that the sanctions applicable to illegal mining were not severe enough to provide a warranted deterrence, and hence passed Act 995 to
to amend and make the sanctions stiffer. It is therefore Act 995 which imposes the penalties that have been applied by the court and which is expected to deter those who will be tempted to undertake illegal activities associated with mining. This is to sound a word of caution to persons involved in illegal mining activities, especially in water bodies and forest reserves. Those involved in gold smuggling and other related activities should also take note. Other initiatives to fight this galamsey menace include government launching Operation Hall 2 to clamp down on illegal miners. Additional to that, government is collaborating with the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners to flush out illegal miners within the industry. On 30th September this year, 7 foreigners were arrested by a task force led by myself in the Bream North District. Government will not relent in its efforts at ensuring sanity within our mining space.
Staying with the Deputy Minister, he also explained that the newly launched Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program will resettle and create jobs for those whose source of livelihood have been destroyed by the fight against galamsey.
Government has launched the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program, which provides many business and livelihood options for interested individuals to venture into. This program features the Community Mining Scheme, which provides a credible, responsible, and sustainable alternative to the mining menace. The scheme has been structured to receive technical support from geoscientists to operate properly. Also, the processing equipment by Commodity Monitor, commonly known as Gold Catcher, which is a mercury-free processing plant and is able to recover over 90% of the gold in the ore being provided by government.
Now, the National Health Insurance Authority says it is convinced the inclusion of family planning among the benefits package of the NHIS will help reduce teenage pregnancies and unwanted pregnancies in the country. Former Deputy Minister of Health and board member of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Bernardo Koboy, says the authority was extremely worried about the increases in teenage pregnancies and childhood cancers across the country. So the country recorded nearly 120,000 teenage pregnancies in 2020 alone. And there are indications that if something urgent is not done about it, the cases could go up. Speaking at the National Health Insurance Week in Cape Coast, Dr. Okoboy indicated that there was the need to empower teenagers to know about the options available that are free in order to reduce these unwanted pregnancies.
The National Health Insurance Authority undertook a walk interspersed with education through the principal street of Cape Coast on Tuesday. The authority has been drumming home the need for residents to link their NHIS card to their Ghana card for easy access to services and for convenience purposes. Board member of the authority, Dr. Bernardo Koboy, indicated his excitement about the inclusion of family planning in the benefit package under the National Health Insurance package. He was convinced the inclusion of it in the scheme would help reduce teenage pregnancies.
We have quite a number of teenage pregnancies here. And when teenagers are given adolescent sex education, if we make them appreciate the hazards with unprotected sex and make them understand that they have options, they have choices, and that the choices will be paid for by the state, we'll be able to reduce a lot of these incidents of teenage pregnancy. And it's not only about the pregnancy, but about their health. Because when a teenager gets pregnant, it means that the child might be carrying other diseases. It's possible, from HIV to syphilis, to hepatitis, to other conditions. And that is why paying for the family planning is very, very important. And for the children who end up on the streets, if we appreciate as a country the challenge with getting resources to pay for children on the streets, take them to shelters, then we better prevent the mothers from getting pregnant. And this is what we are trying to do. And then lastly, a lot of women die through childbirth. And most of these women, if they had their way, they will prevent that pregnancy. This is what the government is trying to do.
And it's time for some excitement. The National Science and Maths Quiz won 8-stage competition that happened today. A lot of surprises and not so much of surprises in some cases. We'll start off with the old students of KATH Senior High School, and they are hopeful that winning this year's NSMQ will propel the building of a sea defense wall to save the institution from being washed away by the sea. So it follows the massive destruction of some communities in the area by tidal waves. Speaking for the old students, Francis KATH said the existence of the school, which is one of the best in the Volta region, is threatened by the sea. So he spoke after the school defeated Adventist SHS and Fomena TI Amas.
So on my left are supporters of the KATH Senior High School, and they're excited about their performance today. They had a landslide victory against Adventist Senior High School here in Kumasi, and also Fomena SHS, Islamic SHS. And I'll be speaking to them on how they found their team's performance. So how was it for you today?
Oh, it was a cool chop. We knew that from the very beginning. We came here with an agenda. And if you indulge me, let me use this opportunity to say a few things that I penned down during the course of the contest.
Okay.
I would like to use this opportunity to sympathize with the good people of KATH, in whose name and honor we contest and glorify. The issue of storm surge or tidal wave poses an existential threat to our 68 years of existence as a school, and ultimately many more years as the people of KATH. It is a real and present danger. Let not our fate be confined to the history books, when others read about us and say we once existed but are no more. Already, the ravenous sea has taken substantial mass of our land, as has already been alluded to by our forebears, when Professor Kofi Auno and Kwesi Brew wrote about the sea eats our land at home and the sea eats our land, respectively. In international affairs and diplomacy, what we call viability is a real thing. If we sit down unconcerned and the sea eats our land, we become unviable in international affairs, and it diminishes with our bargaining power in international situations. On the basis of the foregoing, and at hindsight, I would like to appeal to those in authority and those with the position of power to change the course of history, to give the construction of the sea defense project the much-needed priority in order.
So this is what we say, never miss an opportunity to send a clear message. So they are using that to ensure that the KATH Sea Defense Wall is built in order to protect their school. But we'll stay on NSMQ, and the girls from St. Louis SHS have dwarfed the giants from GSTS and stunned the seminarians from St. Hubert to advance to the quarterfinals of the ongoing National Science and Maths Quiz. So they managed to stop the one-time champions, GSTS, and escaped a hot chase from St. Hubert to become the only Kumasi-based school to have registered a sport in the quarters. So they say the host and win hope is still alive. We'll see.
And so you are hearing in the background the action, and in fact the jubilation in the background from the girls from St. Louis, where they were written off, and what was tagged as impossible now is just unfolding before our very eyes as the possibility. At the end of their contest with St. Hubert, what they have won just by the skin of their teeth anyways, doesn't matter. Let's talk to the girls quickly and find out what the feeling is like. Congratulations. I don't know what to say. Now everybody wrote you off in this contest. You surprised all of us.
Yes. This time we are coming with a loud bang. They didn't expect this from us, and we surprised them. We know we are even surprised.
You surprised yourself?
Yes. We didn't think we would come this far, but it's by the grace of God. And we know He's going to see us through. Okay. So they should expect nothing but the best from us.
I was told when you had the prelim stage, I did an interview. You told me, oh, we should watch out. They're going to blow our minds, and you have indeed blown our minds. What do we expect from you? I mean, the quarterfinals. It may look more difficult in the quarterfinal.
It may look more difficult, but they should look up to so many surprises. They wouldn't see it coming, but they will only see the greatness of God. They should just watch out for more from St. Louis Senior High School. That's all we have to say. We don't talk, we just show actions.
Now, a lot of the schools here are saying that they don't talk, they only show action. But we've seen a lot of the Ashanti regional schools, they said it was going to be a host and win. Now you seem to be the only Ashanti regional school that is standing going into the quarterfinals, at least at this stage. That puts some pressure on you.
Yes, it does, but then, as the Dutchman would say, Waar wil is in weg. Where there is a will, there is a way. We have the will, and with God's power, He will create the way. So yes, we is hosting and winning. Yes. Ashanti region, we are the only school left, and we are surely going to take the win.
That certainly gave me a lot of goosebumps watching the girls there. But earlier today also, Wesley Girls Senior High School, Wegehe, dimmed the lights of Ebri Girls and also beat St. Francis Xavier Seminary to qualify to the next stage. So Wegehe is also keeping the hope alive, making sure they secure their spot once again as one of the best girls' schools in the country. That takes us to a quick break here on Joy News Prime. Of course, our NSMQ coverage continues right here all the way to the end. Where will your school be? Is your school still in the competition? I know that Ola Girls Senior High School is going all the way. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In business, the Chief Finance Officer at the Valley View University, Dr. William Sopra, says government could consider introducing new taxes in the budget targeted at the telecommunications sector as a way of generating more revenue. According to him, it could be the alternative to calls to remove taxes on petroleum products. The telecoms industry is one of the most profitable in the services sector currently. But speaking on Joy Business, Dr. Pepa is also expectant of government's much-touted digitalization agenda, which would help government meet its target in terms of revenue mobilization.
Based on the principle of using indirect tax to raise money, which is very easy for government, if a government wants to reduce the taxes on fuel, my anticipation in 2022 is to see some new form of taxes coming to the affecting telecommunication sector. If you look at the total revenue generated by these telcos in Ghana, it is more than the volume of fuel that we bring into the country. So a percentage tax put on these telcos, which in effect will also indirectly affect consumers in the form of swapping the taxes, will help government to be able to maintain its revenue projections for 2022.
Now, still on budget, prices of petroleum products are expected to go up at the pumps this week yet again. Now, this is based on data secured by the bulk importers of petroleum products. But could the increase be higher than projected as government considers increasing some taxes on fuel in this budget? George Rafi has the answers.
The price of petroleum products should be going up by some 2% per litre. This is based on data secured from the bulk oil distribution companies, or let's say the price at which
I'm afraid we're having some hitches there. But away from that, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahen Edu, is calling on government to prioritize the exportation of value-added cocoa products. According to him, the country has the potential to process more cocoa beans into finished products. However, the processing facilities are underutilized. Speaking at the 2021 Ghana Cocoa Awards, Mr. Edu said the country needs to focus on value addition to fully benefit from the $130 billion global cocoa value chain.
Cocoa is the chief agricultural export of Ghana and the country's main cash crop. Importantly, the country is the second largest cocoa exporter in the world after Ivory Coast. In 2020-2021, the country was estimated to have produced over 1 million tons of cocoa beans. However, about 544,000 tons were processed. Chief Executive of Ghana Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahen Edu, believes more could be done to move the country from an exporter of raw beans to an exporter of processed products.
After producing over 1 million tons of cocoa, what next?
Some may ask whether Ghana has the capacity to process at least half of its annual cocoa output. The answer is a resounding yes. Current national installed cocoa processing capacity is around 544,000 tons, indicating underutilization in some factories. This double victory of achieving both record cocoa production and record domestic cocoa processing highlights the strategic focus of governments and Cocoa Board towards ensuring that Ghana increasingly reduces the export of raw cocoa beans and focus on the export of value-added cocoa products that will make Ghana a beneficiary of the estimated $130 billion global chocolate value chain and further job creation opportunities for Ghanaians.
Meanwhile, Chief of Staff Akosia Frema Oseo Pare has charged the management of Cocoa Board to expand the cocoa sector and work on increasing consumption of products locally and internationally.
Having come this far in the areas of farmer welfare, protection and cocoa production, among others, the government wants to turn its attention to local cocoa processing, value addition and consumption. Government has already demonstrated that it can achieve what it sets out to accomplish within the cocoa industry. It is therefore throwing a challenge to the management of Cocoa Board to take the industry to the next level by expanding the cocoa processing subsector and increasing consumption both locally and within the sub-region. This has the potential to significantly increase the revenue generated from the cocoa industry for the country, and indeed improve the lot of stakeholders, including our cherished farmers. You can count on the support of government in this regard.
The Ghana Cocoa Awards 2021 was themed celebrating Ghana's historic cocoa production milestone, a golden opportunity for the local value addition agenda. Chief Executive of Cocoa Board won the Lifetime Achievement Award, whilst ADB won the Best Cocoa Financing Institution.
As part of its efforts to develop the entrepreneurial skills of the youth, First Code Management Services has developed an initiative dubbed First Up 2021 Creatives Accelerator Program. Now, this program is to equip creative entrepreneurs with the basic managerial practices and business support to start up a business. We have more in this report.
Up 2021 Creative Industries Accelerator Program will facilitate the development of entrepreneurial skills of creative businessmen in the country. The objective is to equip young Ghanaians between the ages of 18 and 35 years who are into filmmaking, theater production, or photography with basic managerial practices and business support required to start or scale up their businesses. Here is the managing partner of First Code Company, Ken Kojo Safo.
Basically here to provide support to players in the creative sector, particularly those in filmmaking and then related activities like photography, editing and the likes. We are here to provide them the necessary support they need to scale up their activities, basically to start and then grow their businesses. So today is the first day of the event. We are here to launch them and then to declare to everyone that we are ready to render support through our partners to the various participants who have been selected for this accelerator program. The rationale behind this is the fact that despite all the efforts going to various sectors in terms of the traction in the startup ecosystem now, not much of it is seen for players in the creative sector. And then we are thinking that much as most of these people are talented, most of these people are skillful, most of these people have learned all that there is to be technical and then produce all the best that we can see on TV, they still do not have what it takes to thrive in the business economy. They still do not have the right entrepreneurial skills required. And so we have put together this event to build their capacities, to understand what it takes to start a business, to run a business and to grow their businesses.
Also, some partners of the program explain the need to support the initiative.
NEIP is really interested in the creative sector and believe this is where a lot of jobs can be created for the young people in Ghana. So we are fully behind Fiscal to ensure that they come up with good businesses through the 13-week program. And we are fully in support with them to give them the needed space and also to give them the needed technical support and financing support as well.
As it's known of Israel. Israel is a startup nation, is a nation of entrepreneurs, including entrepreneurs in the creative sector. And we see the benefits, the contribution to the economy that the creative sector brings into Israel. So when Fiscal reached out to us, we realized that there's potential. We have a lot of technical knowledge that we are happy to transfer to the creative industry in Ghana. And as part of our work as a trade mission, we built business partnerships, trying to create mutually beneficial partnerships. And we believe this is one of it, and we are excited about it, waiting to see the results that we'll have.
Finally, some participants who have enrolled in the program expressed confidence in the program. The program is a 13-week project, and participants who apply stand a chance to build and grow their business plans. James Eshen's report for Joy Business.
Torrid Oil Ghana Limited has announced the opening of its branch at La Paz here in Accra. We have more in this report.
The new branch is the first ever branch of Torrid Oil Ghana Limited in the country, in line with its drive to deliver best in services, offering affordable clean fuel to the local market and beyond. The company is bent on competing with multinational oil firms in the country. Additionally, the company is looking forward to extend its branches to other regions. Here is the executive director of the company, Francis Kelvin Ope, who indicated that his outfit will engage in other corporate social responsibility programs.
Today marks a new journey for Torrid Global Limited. As you can see, this is the first our filling station that we've opened, and here in the city in La Paz. But we're trying to provide a good services for this community, thereby making sure we provide a good, giving a good price, because we are in deregulation market, so we give a good pricing, quality fuel, not adulterated fuel. So we are trying to do something that will help. La Paz is a busy area, so when we're here, we're trying to serve the community. A lot of businesses are going on here and there. So we are here today. We are all excited. You see these beautiful things around. It's by the work of the team, Torrid Management, and we've come up with this beautiful thing. So today I think it's a good milestone for Torrid. Here in La Paz, we try, if maybe we need to put up a school, we will do that. Build it with our own resources to help the community, for the community to also know that at least Torrid didn't come here for nothing, but they've also benefited from our small resources. We planning that by close of, let's say, first week or second week in January, or let's say February, we will do 30 filling stations across the country.
Thanks again for joining me for Sport. I'm Hans Mensah, and our Saints Asamoah Gyan's absence from the Black Stars. Ghana has struggled to find a suitable replacement for the country's all-time goal scorer. Now, Richmond Boachi Yadon has been speaking to Joy Sport, and he says if there is no baby jet, there is Boachi magic. My colleague Mubarak Haruna has more in the following report.
Before the recent call-up, Richmond last played for Ghana in 2017 against Egypt in the 2018 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Milovan Rajevac, who made a return to the Black Stars as head coach in September, named the former Juventus striker in his second call-up.
I dali smo mu šansu da dođe, jednostavno na njemu je da proba danas da iskoristi šansu I da pomogne Gani.
If you look at his previous records, playing for the Red Star, playing the Champions League, Europa League, look at the statistics. We know this player very, very well. This player is Italian school. He has excellent movements. He's tactically very, very quality player. He's coming back after some difficult period, and he started playing for the new team recently. He started scoring some goals. He has experience, he has skills, and he deserves a chance.
The 28-year-old who last kicked the ball about 4 years ago for the Black Stars made a return against Ethiopia in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. He was substituted after 61 minutes. In the last group stage qualifier against South Africa, Richmond started from the bench, replacing Kamaldeen Sulemana in the last 3 minutes. Despite not scoring in 2 matches, the forward is not worried but is determined to improve his performance to be a mainstay in the team.
It wasn't bad. And I have to keep working hard and be committed to whatever I'm doing outside the national team in my club, give my best so that whenever I have the opportunity to be here, I can do whatever everybody wants me to do. I know a lot of people have been saying since Asamoah left, we need a striker and everything. So for me, this has been my dream to just be one of the strikers, but not to boast of anything, but to be one of the strikers who can help Ghana to score goals.
Now the Black Stars are in part 2 of the final phase of the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. These are the countries the Black Stars are likely to come up against. So you see on your screen there is Senegal also potentially meeting Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, or Egypt, as well as Nigeria. Let me go over that again. Senegal, Morocco, Algeria, Nigeria, and either one of Tunisia or Egypt. So those are the countries that the Black Stars could possibly draw for the final phase of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 qualifiers. And that brings the curtain down on sports here on Joy News Prime. You can read more sports at myjoyonline.com/sport. I am Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
But just before we go, we're all set for the opening ceremony of the Volta Fair 2021. And it started yesterday, but the official opening is tomorrow at the whole sports stadium. Is the Volta Trade and Investment Fair to promote tourism, investment, and then also to connect you to other businesses, whilst we also promote tourism in the Volta region. You don't want to miss it. We'll bring you details of that tomorrow, plus our coverage of the budget 2022. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apau, and we make way for Evans Mensah with PM Express. Thanks for your company.